in interviewing a lot of people that have, built big brands versus people who are, building brands that maybe don't make it, quote unquote, is that I find that a lot of times it comes down to the mindset of the entrepreneur more so than the idea.
Yeah.
Because as a leader, you figure it out. You do whatever it takes. You don't assume that it's up to the market what they like or don't like. You just adapt to what's working, do more of that. If it doesn't work, you're just resilient.
Yep.
How important do you feel passion is in being a prereq to actually have that kind of fire?
It's super important. A lot of guys get stumped because, they want to fucking create a brand. Yeah, they can fucking create great designs, but when it comes to the business side, one failure, they're fucking done. Like, oh shit, that shit scared them,
Yeah. Maybe I wasn't meant for this.
Yeah, maybe I was like, and no one can teach you to be a business person because that shit's always fucking changing. You always just have to, like you said, adapt. So that was one characteristic that I had, which just, I was so fucking passionate about this, I would figure it out, The creativity would always be there. But in the business world, that shit's gonna fucking punch you in the face, dude. You're gonna have to fucking get back up and keep going. And that's what I was doing,
Yeah.
Even little progress, I was addicted to that shit. So I wanted to see a little bit more than, yeah.
What do you think one of the biggest differences is between entrepreneurs that end up making it versus those that just kind of, say, maybe I'm not cut out for this, or maybe I wasn't meant for this, or just give up or change their idea. You see a lot of that. What do you think is the difference between people who end up making it versus people who just kind of get stuck trying?
I think the difference is, like, with me, the people that are going to make it, they know they're going to make it. Like, I just fucking knew, Like, if I was going to make it, I'm going to fucking die. I'm going to die trying, And no one's going to fucking, you can't take that shit off of somebody that knows this motherfucker's going to win already. Whatever it takes.
Yeah.
So you figure out the fucking game, you play it, and you just play until you fucking win. And
were you holding the image of your mind, like, I'm gonna make it, I'm gonna drive this car, I'm gonna have these things, I'm gonna build a big brand? Like, was that, like, what was in your mind? Like, what was the intense thought that would fuel you to wake up early, stay up late? Like, what were the thoughts flowing through you at that time?
Because like I said, everything I dug my hands into, I wanted to be great at it. And with that whole personal training business, I was set, like I said, I'm gonna give 110% and use obviously materialistic things as fucking goals, as shitty as it sounds.
Yeah.
People just don't understand how much of a motivation it can have on you. And obviously with, let's say I wanted this fucking Lamborghini, I'm gonna work my ass off to get it. But what they don't realize is, I get that. But once you get to that level, it opens your doors to a whole nother fucking thing,
Dimension, yeah.
Yeah, so whether it be personal training or scaling fucking lifted apparel, it was just like, dude, 110% all in,
All in, all the way. Now, I know you were saying a little bit earlier too about how important it was at that time to kind of like focus in and hone in, and kind of sometimes it came at the expense of like hanging out with friends as often as you would have, or
that's what we're talking about.
Yeah, any of that stuff. Can you talk a little bit about that phase of focus that you kind of went into and some of the sacrifices you had to make?
Yeah. I remember there was a cool 2 or 3 years. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna really focus on my business. Like this hanging out shit, going out, having fun. Like I got to sacrifice some of that stuff. So you spend a lot of time, alone, being by yourself, really thinking it. That you're gonna fucking do this shit. And this is what we were talking about. Now I'm getting it. No matter how great your idea is or how much it's gonna work, and this is, I know you can relate with me. Yeah. When you say it out loud, no matter what, the person they're not gonna see it the way you fucking see it. So I didn't give a fuck about what anybody else thought. I didn't fucking say anything. They're like, what are you working on? I'm like, oh, that's cool. You guys go fucking do your thing. I got some shit to take care of.
Yeah.
What is it? I don't need to tell you because you're just gonna knock me or whatever, So I don't fucking disappeared, hibernation mode. Where the fuck is Randall? I don't know, just with his clients building his shit. You'll see it on the internet.
Yeah, you'll hear about it one day.
Yeah, so that was the thing I was getting at. You know, it's like I kept a lot of things in here because it's just, history shows like, man, every time I fucking say something, they're like, nah, or like, that's cool. But in reality, they're like, this was crazy or some shit, Like they didn't see it how I saw it.
Yeah, and you felt it too. You didn't just see it. You
Yeah.
felt it at a deep level.
Yeah.
Now, at that time, were you into like Tony Robbins or personal development or learning from other
Fuck no, dude. I
entrepreneurs
didn't know
or
what
any
the
of
fuck
that?
anybody was, dude.
None of that.
I was
yeah.
this fucking kid on the street, just like, man, I gotta make this shit. You know, until now, I was like, damn, dude.
Yeah.
And that's the difference too. A real entrepreneur's living this shit, you know?
Right, yeah.
I mean, obviously, if I was growing up today, I would use the resources I have, like YouTube, look up all these other entrepreneurs. But as like a real one doing it, like, dude, I was so zoned in my shit. I didn't give a fuck about anybody else. You know, I didn't care. Like, I was just fucking tunnel vision on my own shit and make sure I was making progress.
Focus.
Yeah.
Now, how about in terms of recruiting a team? Because I'm sure you know that's one of the most important elements. You can't do
Yeah.
it on your own. You can't be a solopreneur.
Yeah.
What was it like, and what have you learned about what it takes to recruit a good team?
Oh my
good people,
God.
hiring, firing. I mean,
Dude.
what have you learned?
I've learned a lot of shit, and I learned a lot of motherfuckers can burn your ass, dude.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, but I've dealt with a ton of shit. This past 2017 was a rough one, dude.
Really?
Like guys, people that have started with me from the beginning, turning their fucking backs, catching fucking stealing shit out of my office with the camera.
Wow.
Dude, it was fucking rough, dude. Yeah.
Really? People that were like friends or close?
People I thought was cool, you know? And it's crazy because like you really don't know what their intention is in the beginning, you know? And I learned this the hard way. You can only do so much, man.
Right.
We do full fucking healthcare here, dental, eye, vision, all that shit, you know?
Wow.
I'm the most lenient dude. I'll give you time off, this and that. But now I learn, man, we got to keep the shit by the book because, like I said, there's a couple of people turn their backs and just try to use whatever they can against you, you know? Once it's like, you got to just make sure, obviously, like I said, things are by the books and whatnot, and then do everything you need to do through HR and all that stuff. But now it's like you want to hire people that you can hang out with and stuff at the same time, but then now you want to hire professionalism, you know?
Right.
And that's what history has taught me, you know?
Yeah.
So, yeah, man, it's been rough, but you want people that you can teach, obviously, and then people that fit in that in the culture. In your culture, you know? So,
how about in terms of branding? Because I know LiftFit, a big part of how LiftFit blew up is that a lot of influencers started wearing the brand. I mean, can you talk a little bit about how important networking was and how important getting in touch with influencers were and how integral it was to building the LiftFit brand to see these big names, you know, back in the mission you guys were on with LiftFit?
Yeah, it's super important. I remember, like I said, when I started to create LiftFit Apparel, like when it first started off as a clothing brand, one of my first thought was, I need a fucking team, you know, and that came from skateboarding because all the skate brands had skate teams, you know? So I was like, hey, we need a team, you know, but what industry am I in right now?
Yeah.
At the time was bodybuilding, you know, IFBB and all that. So I reached out to this guy, Torrey Woodworth, which is one of the first IFBB pros to hit the Olympia stage and shit. And I didn't have a lot of money at the time, so I was like, hey, dude, you know, we could sponsor you, you know, here's some gear, blah, blah, blah. And he was down for it. He liked the clothes, and he repped it everywhere, and we started promoting it.
You just reached out to him, or you had already had a relationship with him?
I just reached out to him, man. I was like, fuck, I was scared.
You just emailed him or DM'd him or what?
I knew his coach.
Gotcha.
Yeah, Omar Ventura, and I had him put in a word, you know? And then Torrey was just super respectful, dude. I'm still cool with him now, you know?
Yeah. He's
got his own business going on. It's cool to see him grow.
Yeah.
But yeah, he like helped us, you know, put LiftFit on the map too as well. Just competing on the pro level, you know? So, but yeah, building a team right off the bat, I think was what got us so far ahead of the game, you know? No one had like a solid team, especially in our industry. And then when I did add people on, it wasn't like a lot of people, you know, we're just shoving fucking clothes everywhere. No, our team was always small and tight niche, you know?
Yeah, one at a time.
One at a time, and we had like hand at the max, you know, of like top tier athletes, you know?
And then in terms of sales, at what point did it get to the point where you're like, oh shit, this is really like blowing up? Do you remember the phase? Because I'm sure it was gradual, but do you remember if there was any explosions in the business or bumps where you're like, oh shit, this is really happening. This is really taking off. You remember what that was like? Maybe the first time you saw people wearing it out that you didn't know, or, you know, what were those times like?
I think it was like obviously the second year when I was a little bit more experienced about the like cut and sew and manufacturing side. I remember we had a couple of fucking like big freights coming in, and I was like, fuck, dude, we have nowhere to put this shit, you know?
Yeah.
But that really pushed us to get a new, bigger warehouse. And then once that inventory came in, that shit we put it up online and it moved. And that was like one of the big things. Like we always sold out all our shit, you know? We never sat on anything.
Yeah.
So we knew I'm just gonna pour a lot of money right now because like I said, history, like just the track record, everything we put out, sold out. So I was like, fuck it, let me pour a lot of money in this inventory, all this shit coming in from fucking overseas.
Yeah.
And sure enough, when it came in, I had to get a new warehouse to stock it, but it didn't sit for too long, it fucking sold.
And it also puts a little bit of pressure on you to have to sell, right? Because you're like, man, I don't want to get stuck with all this inventory.
Yep. So we just market the samples we had prior, started fucking doing major campaigns, building up the fucking hype, and the drop date, letting the people know when it was gonna drop. So then at that point, when we were like, at this time, you know, people were fucking literally by the computers, boom, and fucking, you know, we like broke tons of records of what we've done prior, you know, just hitting this whole new SKU section of like custom like board shorts and shit like that, you know? Not just like tees.
Yeah.
If you guys enjoyed that video, be sure to hit that subscribe button right now, because every week we bring you the very best in personal development content, interviews, and insights to help inspire you to take your life and your dreams and make them a reality. And also, if you want to know how to book dream guests the same way I have, you can check the link below for my top 3 secrets. So if you have a podcast or a show or whatever it is and you want to collaborate with them, if you click that link below, I'll give you those top 3 secrets to help you get in touch with anybody. And also, don't forget that The Passionate Few is available on media platforms as well. So you can subscribe to the podcast. And until next time, thank you for being one of the Passionate Few.